Have you ever had trouble figuring out who your target audience actually is? And because of that, you don't really know how you're going to speak to them. How are you going to create messages on LinkedIn or social media? How are you going to create ads that resonate? Because you don't know who they are, what needs they have, what is going on in their lives, what are they thinking? It is overwhelming. And oftentimes many people tell you to come up with an ideal client avatar. And you're thinking, I did that a long time ago, but it's not working. Well, if that's you, then this episode is definitely one that you're going to want to tune into. All right, let's get started. There's a misconception that we don't exist, that somehow our ability to excel at the highest level of our industry is limited, that overcoming barriers as a woman of color would be insurmountable. But what would happen if we decided to venture out on our own despite everything we're up against? I'll tell you. Welcome to the Black Girls Consult 2 podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Angelina Davis, a healthcare consultant, consulting coach, high performance fanatic, wife, and proud girl mom. I help transform female professionals into thriving solo consultants. And just like you, I'm wearing all the hats and doing all the things. So this podcast is to empower the busy female professionals to move past fear to start and grow a successful consulting business, despite the obstacles you may encounter. We'll dive deep into consulting practice, business strategy, mindset, and more. So grab your cup of coffee or tea if that's your thing, and let's get started. Hello. Welcome to the Black Girls Consult 2 podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Angelina Davis, and today we are going to be talking about marketing, sales, and really we're focusing on the ideal client avatar. You know, this is the character, the avatar, the mystical person that we're creating oftentimes when we're beginning to market our services. It's who we're told we are supposed to be talking to, who wants to buy the service that we are offering, and who we need to serve. However, I found that when it comes to creating this ideal client avatar, often many of my clients have had a lot of difficulty being able to navigate this process successfully. And I myself have had those similar challenges when I was starting out. And I think that there are a number of reasons why this occurs. And what I want to do in this episode is begin to peel back the layers on that just a little bit and hopefully shed a little bit of light on what the ideal client avatar, the concept of that is supposed to lead you to, and how we can actually think about doing that in a more effective way that benefits our business and the way that we are working and thinking in this moment, because it is somewhat of a shift in perspective that allows all of the pieces to come together where you understand the process a lot better. And because you understand the process a lot better, then you're able to speak more effectively and more clearly to the people that you're meant to serve. And when you're able to do that, of course, your offers are going to resonate more. You are going to attract and start more conversations, and that will eventually lead to more business in the long run. So this is an element of the marketing puzzle that I really do feel strongly that we need to be able to piece together and to use effectively to our benefit. So that's what we're going to do in this episode. We are going to uncover the mystical and magical ideal client avatar. So there's a famous quote that says, 2 things remain irretrievable. That's time and a first impression. So look, when you are presenting your services to a client and you're ready to win that big lucrative contract, you want to put your best foot forward. And what better way to do that than brand collateral that showcases your high quality services in a way that stands out from the crowd. So if you're looking for a way to showcase your services, I want to offer you what I use and what I know has worked for me over time. And that's my offer magazine template. This is literally a Canva template that all you have to do is drop in your pictures, your logos, all of your information, and then allow someone to see firsthand the level of quality that you present when you touch any project that you are working with. To download, click the link in the description and make it yours today. I promise it will be putting your best foot forward. I remember when I was first starting out in the online space, I can't remember what course it was or who was teaching the method, but I do remember going to a coffee shop and I was on a mission to map out my ideal client. I had a worksheet and it had tons of questions. It was asking me everything from where do they live and what's their age, how many kids do they have, what are some of the things they enjoy doing, what do you think they are looking for online. I mean, it had all of the questions, and I spent so much time answering each question in great detail because in my mind, I had to come up with the perfect client so that my business would just take off. Well, let me tell you that I didn't really happen that way. So, what I found is that by coming up with this imaginary ideal client, this avatar, this persona, I was a bit confused as to what my message should be. I had created this ideal person, but I didn't know a person like that personally, and I didn't know whether or not this person actually existed. I thought they may, but I was not sure. I had not come across them yet in my business. I had not found them over time in my industry. Yes, bits and pieces of those individuals were present, but that person as a whole, this ideal, perfect person, was not someone that I knew. And because that was the case, there was a detachment for me between that ideal client avatar, that persona, and who I really was trying to work with, the people who were showing up in my space, the people who were part of my audience. They didn't look like this ideal. And so because of that, I was not aware of the person who truly represented my ideal client or the client who is best suited for the services that I provide. It wasn't until a bit later when I don't even know how I got this idea, really. I think it came because someone once said, your ideal client is typically someone that you've worked with before, who was a person who was a wonderful client. They may have gotten a great result. They were easy to work with, or you enjoyed working with them. And that person oftentimes may represent the ideal for you. And in that moment, for whatever reason, something began to click because now I wasn't dealing with an imaginary character that I was creating, like I was writing some type of novel or book, but I started to think about the people that I have worked with in the past, or maybe those who I know may be a ideal client for me in their current circumstance, based upon my interactions with them over time. So I was pulling my information, my data from a real person, a person who was not perfect, a person who I did not create out of my imagination, but truly existed. And because of that, the one thing that I could do is speak more directly to them, and not just speaking to them to communicate my message, but to find out more about them, their lives, their wants, their needs, and their desires. And this right here, my friends, is the key, because no matter how many worksheets you use to craft this ideal person, none of them will be as good as the persona that you have a relationship with. And so what I want you to do is to start thinking about this whole ideal client avatar or this client persona as an example of your ideal client based upon someone that you know or have worked with in the past. Now, what this means is that yes, there are some elements that you may want to tweak. So for instance, they may not necessarily have the background that you feel would make them best suited and qualified for your offer. So maybe you would want to find someone who is similar to them in other ways, but have the background and the training that's necessary for you to do higher level work. those are the things that you want to begin to modify. But overall, when you are thinking about the person that you want to serve and you're thinking about their name, their age, where they live, the type of job that they have, their beliefs, their actions and activities, their values, when you're thinking about that person, it is going to be more beneficial to you to base that on individuals that actually exist, because the likelihood is that if you know that person that exists and you can speak to them more clearly, they are all going to also represent a number of other individuals who will also hear your message and be attracted to it. And when we're able to do that, it makes our communication so much easier, because instead of talking to someone that you know in your mind is imaginary, now you're having a conversation with a friend. Now you're thinking through the problem solving with the client you worked with in the past. Now you're starting to resonate with some of the values and the beliefs that you know are present in your audience right now. And instead of you waiting and looking for this imaginary individual to show up out of thin air, you can then begin to focus in on those who are right under your nose, who are right around you, that represent your audience and those in your audience that are potential clients right now. And it shifts the trajectory of your business, because instead of you looking far out to find this ideal person that you've now made up, you are focused in on the individuals that may be present and those that you know exist. That makes all of the difference in you communicating more effectively, more consistently, and with more confidence, because you truly know and understand those individuals, because you have been in relationship with them in some capacity over time. So this is one of the easiest ways to begin to allow the client avatar process to gain traction, to resonate more so with you. And when you get to the point where you know and understand your ideal client, your ideal avatar better, your messaging will become clearer. You're able to put a face and a name to the message that you are creating. That helps you to speak in more detail. You know, we talk about this whole element of storytelling and the ability to be more detailed in your copy when you're writing, whether it's for ads, whether it's social media content, whether it's blog content. All of these things require you to communicate effectively and be more detailed so that the person that you're speaking to can identify that you're having a conversation with them and then respond. But one way of doing that is you being able to visualize that person more clearly. You can see them waking up early in the morning. You can see them going online and searching for certain terms in Google that you can then reference, that become keywords for your blogs and your posts or your YouTube content. It becomes evident where they are going to spend their time in conferences and other networking events, because you know what type of people they like to be around. You understand and know whether or not they are an introvert or an extrovert. You know whether or not they enjoy creative gatherings or if they are more analytical and logical in their thinking and may be found in a more academic setting. You will be able to decipher that because now you are connecting your understanding to a specific person. And that helps you to make the messaging more concrete in your mind. And the more clear it is for you, the easier it will be for you to communicate that to others. So this is super important. And one of the ways that it will help you to build and grow a lot faster, because your messaging, the more it resonates, the more people it attracts, the more you are going to be able to connect with others and grow. So this process of finding the person that represents your ideal client in some capacity and using that as a guide to build out this persona, to build out this avatar, is going to be an extremely helpful, I feel like, tip or trick to you utilizing the ideal client avatar as your marketing tool and a process to craft your messaging. Also, when it comes to creating your offer is going to be much more dialed in because you can tie it more directly to the needs of that ideal client that you now understand and know is someone that you have worked with in the past. I know for me, one of the key reasons why I build so much of a focus on productivity and high performance and time management into the way that I have structured my coaching programs is because I know that my ideal client is someone who's extremely busy, whether she is busy building and flourishing in her career, or whether she is also in her 9-to-5 and building her family, or simply growing tremendously in her consulting business and trying to navigate a way to grow more efficiently and effectively so she can gain and win her time back. I know that my ideal client avatar is someone who is going to resonate with the ability to get this work done in a more effective and efficient manner that is easy for them to fit into their lives as it currently is. And so by you understanding those dynamics in your ideal client's mind, in their lives, you will be able to do the same. It truly is a matter of us taking it out of the imaginary fictional world and bringing it into our reality. What we not only desire to be true, but what we know to be true, what we have experienced before, and what we actually can base our business on because it's factual, is going to increase the likelihood that it's going to work. So if you have had trouble creating messaging for your target audience that resonates, that speaks to their needs in a way that allows them to take action and move forward to work with you, then I want you to consider whether or not you are actually speaking to the person you are meant to serve, or are you speaking to a made-up fictional character that may not likely exist. If you are able to shift your focus into the real world with that person that may be ideal for your offer, but not perfect overall, that can open the door of opportunity in your business like nothing else. So I hope that you can understand this whole shift in the way that you're visualizing marketing and your ideal client avatar, your ideal client persona, and use that to your advantage to win more business. Because when you know your client better than they know themselves, they will have no choice but to work with you. All right, guys, I hope this helps. And you have to let me know whether or not you have used this strategy before in your business. Reach out to me on Instagram or on LinkedIn. I love continuing these conversations with you. And thank you so much for those who have reached out over the past episodes. I do love those conversations. And also, if you found this helpful, make sure you share it with a friend. This content, I hope, continues to spread like wildfire. We want the community to grow and the podcast to grow, and I need your help in order to do that. So I would tremendously appreciate it if you were to spread the word. And if you love the episode, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Yeah, that's always great. But until next time, guys, have a great week. Take care. Thank you for tuning in to the Black Girls Consult 2 podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to leave your review on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, and share it with a friend. We're on a mission to increase the success and longevity of women in consulting, and you can help us do that. Also, I'd love to hear from you, so let's connect at Dr. Angelina Davis on Instagram or LinkedIn. And don't forget to visit excelatconsulting.com for more information to support your consulting journey. Until next time, take care.